Next up in our series of expectations videos for each NHL team, we have the defending Central Division champions, the Nashville Predators, who I think still should be up around the top of the division and the league heading into next season, so let's jump right into the video. Obviously, heading into this past season, the expectations for the Nashville Predators were very high because they made the Stanley Cup Finals of the year prior, obviously coming in as a wildcard team, sweeping the Chicago Blackhawks. That was absolutely insane. The run that they went on was magical, but it wasn't really a fluke as they had the talent on that team to do so, and like I said, they did live up to the expectations this past season, finishing with a record of 53-18-11 for 117 points, first in the Central Division, winning the President's Trophy as the best team in the NHL, and obviously a team this well-rounded, with Pekka Rinne still being an elite goaltender in the NHL, and he showed that winning the Vezina Trophy this past season. This is a team that is going to be a force to be reckoned with, and I still think the next coming years, they are going to be around the top of the league. Nashville is a team that doesn't really have a bona fide superstar on offense who brings you all of your points. It's kind of a well-rounded, balanced attack, just with most of their top 6 guys being up there around 50 points. Their leading goal scorer, though, was Victor Arvidsson with 29 goals, and I think next year we can definitely see him score 30 to 35 goals. He has the speed, he has the shot, he's an offensively gifted player, and playing on that first line with talented guys like Johansson and Forsberg, if they can stay healthy, Victor Arvidsson is more than capable of being a 35 goal scorer in my opinion. The leading overall point scorer, though, was Filip Forsberg with 64 points. In my opinion, he's the best forward on this team. Obviously, he didn't stay healthy for a full 82-game season, and I think next year, if he does, he's a guy who could be up there around 85 points, maybe even flirting with 90, and really solidify himself as a superstar in the NHL. So all in all, a fantastic year last year for Nashville, and I definitely think they still should be moving in the right direction heading into next season. Taking a look at the off-season transactions for the Nashville Predators, obviously they didn't do much because if it's not broke, don't fix it, and this team obviously is an elite team in the NHL, and you don't want to do much to tinker with that. They did make some minor moves here and there because obviously Alexei Yemlin, who is a top 6 defenseman for them, he played most of the time on that bottom pairing. He was an unrestricted free agent. He decided not to come back, or they decided not to bring him back, so they had to bring in someone to replace him, and I think Dan Hamhuis is kind of an upgrade from Alexei Yemlin, and I definitely think this is the perfect team for Dan Hamhuis to go to because he's not going to have to play a lot of minutes because they have the best defense score in the league. Their top 4 is absolutely insane. They also brought in Zach Rinaldo, who can come in here and there if a player is to get injured to bring some really hard-hitting, hard-nosed hockey, some sandpaper into your bottom 6, and on the outs, like I said, Alexei Yemlin, Scott Hartnell, who I think will be missed for the Nashville Predators team. I think he's an awesome locker room guy and just a really fantastic all-around player in the NHL. I definitely think he's probably on the back 9 of his career, but obviously that he will be missed in my opinion. And Mike Fisher, who came out of retirement and now is retiring once again for good this time in my opinion. So some minor moves here and there, but the signing of Dan Hamhuis I really do like, so it was a pretty good offseason, I'll say, for the Nashville Predators. Now taking a look at my lineup predictions for the Nashville Predators forward group heading into next season, and looking at this you can tell this is a pretty deep, well-rounded team, and pretty much every line can give you some scoring and can be tough to play against. And looking at this, they don't really have a bona fide superstar like I said earlier in the video, but as soon as next season, I definitely think Filip Forsberg can make that jump and solidify himself as a superstar in the NHL. So first line, I have Filip Forsberg, Ryan Johansson, and Victor Arvidsson. Victor Arvidsson, a guy who I think, like I said earlier, is capable of 30 to 35 goals. He's very fast, a very exciting player to watch. Ryan Johansson, you could say he's overrated, and you could argue if he is a number 1 center in the NHL, but he is a very important part to this team, and I definitely think if he does buy in the defensive zone, he could become one of the best two-way forwards in the NHL. And then you have Filip Forsberg, obviously the best offensive player on this team. He scored some amazing goals in the playoffs against the Colorado Avalanche. A very exciting first line to watch, definitely a solid first line. Then the second line you have Kevin Fiala, who I think is a pretty underrated player. Kyle Turris, who in my opinion is the perfect second line center, and then Craig Smith, who quietly did put up 50 plus points last season. I had no idea until I looked at the Nashville Predators player stats before making this video, and I was like, wow, Craig Smith had 50 points, so that's pretty insane. I think he's a little underrated as well because I never really heard anything about him last season. So a very deep, well-rounded top 6. Then on the third line I have Eli Tolvanen, who probably could take a second line spot, maybe away from Craig Smith, but if Craig Smith does play like he did last year, I definitely think his spot in the top 6 is solidified. So Tolvanen, Nick Bonino, and Austin Watson. I definitely like Nick Bonino as a third line center, and Watson and Tolvanen on that third line I definitely think can still give you some scoring. And like I said this a lot of times on the channel, sometimes bringing in rookies to bottom 6 roles doesn't help, and some are best suited for a top 6 role. I think Kevin Fiala on the right team should be a top 6 forward, but on this Nashville Predators team there isn't really much flexibility in the lineup for him to get in there unless there is an injury. But I think he is a guy who can still thrive on the third line and get some special team minutes, like obviously beyond the power play, because he is an offensively gifted player. And Nick Bonino and Austin Watson are still pretty skilled, so it's not like he's just playing with pure checking forwards. So I do like that third line a lot. And then you have Sissons, Yarncrook, and Ryan Hartman. A very solid fourth line. Hartman and Sissons and Yarncrook all can go in there, give you some sandpaper, finish the hits, and score here and there. So all in all, a very well-rounded forward group. Definitely one of the top forward groups in the entire NHL. Now taking a look at the defense core for the Nashville Predators heading into next season, and obviously this is where Nashville separates themselves from other good teams in the NHL. This defense core is absolutely nasty. On that top pairing I have Roman Josi and Ryan Ellis. Roman Josi is a fantastic defenseman. Obviously a two-way defender. He can give you points and he can shut down the other team's top pairing. And what I like, and I think what makes this defense core thrive, is that they don't have to just log a bunch of minutes. They don't have to just all rely on themselves, and they can rely on their teammates. If Roman Josi's having a bad night, PK Subban can step up. Even if Subban and Josi are having a bad night, Ekholm and Ellis can step up. Obviously just a very well-rounded defense core. Second pairing you have Ekholm and Subban. I definitely would not want to get hit by either of them guys' slap shots or their body checks. Obviously a fantastic top 4, probably the best top 4 in the NHL. And then that bottom pairing I have Dan Hamhuis, the new acquisition, which I do like a lot. I think he's going to complement that top 4 perfectly. And then either Yannick Weber or Matt Irwin, either one works, whatever you want to do. Whoever's off one night, it doesn't really matter. Whoever slides in there, I definitely think whoever does play, this is still the best defense core in the entire NHL. Then you have Pekka Rinne, who I'm not sure how many seasons of a Vezina caliber goaltender he has left in him. Obviously this past season was one of the best, if not the best of his career, but I definitely think he still should have 1 or 2 more very solid seasons. But you could argue when he is on the outs, they still have UC Saros to come in and take over that starting position. So I think the future is looking bright. It's a team that's in win now mode, and I definitely don't think we're going to see them fall off anytime soon, especially with the defense core looking like this. So all in all, fantastic defense core, probably the best in the NHL. Now taking a look at my player stats predictions for the Nashville Predators, and like I said, I still have it being kind of a well-balanced attack. You're getting scoring from a lot of different players. I have Philip Forsberg leading the way with 33 goals and 42 assists for 75 points, which isn't taking that step into superstardom just yet, but in the coming years he certainly can, and I definitely think as soon as next season he could prove me wrong and get around 90 points, but I don't want to set the bar too high, so I have him scoring around 75. Then Victor Arvidsson, 30 goals, 41 assists for 71 points, and like I say in every video, take this with a grain of salt. I know these players aren't going to play in all 82 games. You're going to have your injuries here and there, but this is pretty much just a points per 82 games. And then I have Ryan Johansson, 24 goals and 42 assists for 66 points, and if he does score 66 and really buys in the defensive zone and becomes a fantastic defensive center as well, he could be regarded as one of the top centers in the league. Then I have Kevin Fiala, 20 goals and 39 assists for 59 points. And then I have Subban and Josi rounding out the top 6 with 50 plus points each. Obviously, getting that power play time with all the fantastic forwards, they're going to rack up their fair share of points. And obviously here and there you can just pass it up to Philip Forsberg and he's going to dance around the whole team and get you an assist. So a well-balanced attack, and they are still going to be one of the most lethal teams in the league. And now finally giving you guys my final expectations for the Nashville Predators heading into next season. I don't really have them taking too much of a step back. I don't see them winning the division again. Obviously, I do have the Winnipeg Jets winning the division. I already did my season preview for them. You guys can go check that out. But I do have them finishing second with 111 points, still being an absolute powerhouse of a team. A record of 41-22, or not 41, 51-22 and 9. Leading point score, I have Forsberg with 75 points and Forsberg with 33 goals. You guys seen that in the player stats predictions. But obviously, with the roster that they have, I definitely think it's theoretically impossible that they don't make the playoffs, barring catastrophic injury to Subban, Josi, Forsberg, Arvidsson, all the top guys on this team. If healthy, they are obviously, in my opinion, going to be one of the top teams in the NHL and definitely are going to be one of the favorites to come out of the Western Conference. They're definitely more than capable of getting back to where they were 2 seasons ago, which is the Stanley Cup Final. And this is a team that could bring home a championship, in my opinion. A very fun team to watch. Obviously, their crowd here and there, many people might not like what they do, but you can't deny the greatness of this team. Absolutely stacked, especially from the blue line out. So they're going to be very exciting to watch next year, and I definitely still have high expectations for them. So that is going to wrap up this video. I really hope you guys did enjoy. Make sure to let me know down in the comment section, what are your expectations for the Nashville Predators next season? Do you think they are still a threat to get back to the Stanley Cup Final? Who do you think is going to lead the team in points? All that stuff, let me know down in the comment section below. With that being said, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please make sure to drop a like on it and subscribe to the channel for daily NHL content. And I'll see you guys all in the next video.